Welcome to today's session. Today we are going to discuss about the first concept of our study note 1, investment decision. So here we are just going to see how to estimate the project cash flow. So the first one is estimation of project cash flows. So guys, um, what happens here is this estimation of the project cash flow can be done by two steps. One is cash inflow and another one is accounting profit. Okay, here the cash upflow approach is considered as the superior to accounting profit approach. Why so? Because the cash flows are theoretically better when we are measuring the net economic benefits associated with long-term investments. And also, cash flow approach takes cognizance of the time value of money, whereas accounting approach is of accrual concept. Okay, let us take an investment. So this investment can be of two types. One is new investment, another one is of replacement, like expansion, or I'm having a set of machines where I am just going to replace that machines. So in new investment decisions, all the cash flows will be of incremental cost. Okay, that is cost cash outflow. That means I'm just going to buy a machine for which I'm just going to pay a cash. So it's kind of a new investment. It will be like my cash will be going out to buy the machine, to buy a building, whatever it is. So whereas under replacement, there will be both cash inflows and cash outflows, because I will be replacing my old machines from which I will be getting a salvage value, which is again a cash inflow, and also I will be buying some of the new machines for which I must be paying the amount, so it will be a cash outflow. So thus this cash flows associated with a proposal can be divided into three. One is initial cash flows and subsequent cash flows and terminal cash flows. Okay, now what we are going to see is the very first is initial cash flow estimation. So let us see how we will be computing the initial cash flow Here guys, I will be providing you with the rough draft of steps by which you can able to easily compute your initial cash flows. So what happens? Let us consider I'm just going to purchase a machine. Here what happens is I'm just going to pay for my machine. So the cost of new asset to be taken, so which is a cash outflow, right? So this includes installation, transportation and other incidental costs related to the asset. With this cost, certain adjustments to be made. You must remember, whenever I'm just purchasing a new machine, there will be certain adjustments. Mainly the adjustments will be in three areas. One is working capital. Okay, there will be an adjustment under working capital. Second one is there will be an adjustment under tax. Either it will be a tax savings or you have to pay your tax. Okay, and finally there will be some salvage value. This salvage value arises mostly in case of replacement. Okay, so let's see. First, there may be an increase in working capital due to the purchase of the new machine. What happens in that case? Again, there is a cash outflow. So you must add back that cash outflow, because your cost of new asset is also a cash outflow. Then sometimes the purchase of new machine can lead to decrease in working capital, which is a cash inflow to you, because the certain amount get reduced, right? So which is a benefit to you, so you must be subtracting that benefit from the cost of the new asset. So as I said, this cost of new asset is a cash outflow. Since increase in working capital is like a cash outflow, I am paying extra. So this decrease in working capital becomes a cash inflow because it is a benefit to us. So the next adjustment is about salvage value. Salvage value of the old assets. So this arises mainly when there is a replacement of assets. Okay, so as I said, there is two concepts. One is you're investing in a new project, another one is like you're replacing. So this is the salvage value arises mostly at the time of replacement of old assets. Okay, so again the salvage value is a cash inflow to you at the time of selling your old asset. You will be getting some salvage amount, so which is an inflow to you. Then there will be sometimes there will be tax savings for loss on sale of asset, and you must be very sure that when this takes place is only when the block of assets ceases to exist due to the sale of the old asset. Okay, similarly there will be also tax payable when there is a profit on sale of your asset, and also here also the block of asset wants to be seized. At that point only you can make these two adjustments, or else this adjustments will be reflected in the depreciation part. So as I said, there are three adjustments. One is under working capital, another one is under salvage value. Salvage value comes mostly at the time of the replacement of old assets, and finally it is about tax savings or tax payable. So as I said, salvage value is a cash inflow. Tax savings is again a cash inflow, which is a benefit. So it is a cash inflow. Tax payable is a cost to you, hence it is a cash outflow, guys. So if you are not sure about how to compute this block of asset, or you're not sure about the concept block of asset, I've just uploaded some of the videos regarding this block of asset calculation. Kindly visit there to have a. Now let us go into the next topic. It is about subsequent cash flows. So most of the times, guys, the subsequent cash flow is of cash inflow nature. Okay, it is kind of a benefit to you most of the times. It doesn't mean you won't be having any cash outflow. At times you will also be having cash outflows. Okay, so the subsequent cash flow, what we are going to see under this is for estimating future cash inflows of subsequent period, the following aspects to be kept in mind, guys. So the very important aspect is every cash inflows I'm just going to estimate here should be of after tax basis. Okay, so what should I consider here? This cash flow should be of an after tax basis. Okay, so cash flow after tax. So this cash flow after tax can be computed by three methods according to the information provided in your questions. So the first one can, if they are provided with the sales revenue, then expenses and all, you can compute the same with the following steps, like net sales revenue minus cost of goods sold minus expenses. What you will be getting, then minus depreciation, very important part, minus depreciation. You will be getting the profit before interest and taxes, or earnings before interest and taxes, minus taxes. You will be getting profit after tax. You should add back the non-cash flow items, that is depreciation, then you will be getting the net cash flow after tax. So guys, there is a very important part here. What it is, so computing while computing your expenses, while subtracting your expenses, you can do it in a two-way, guys. One is by excluding the interest part completely. You must be excluding the interest part completely. Okay, that is, you are excluding your financial charges completely from the computation, or else you will be included the same, but the same how to take the sum forward will be discussed in this third wing. So what happens here? So if I'm just excluding the interest, if not, what I will be doing, profit before interest and taxes minus interest, I will get the profit before tax, minus tax, I will get the profit after tax, and adding back the depreciation, I will get the net cash flow after tax, right? Yeah. So the second wing is at times there will be a direct questions, like they will be already providing you with earning before interest and tax. So simply by subtracting your tax and adding back your depreciation, you will be getting your net cash flow after tax. Yes. So finally, if the profit after tax can be taken from your accounting records, what happens if you take your profit after tax from your accounting records? So let me explain here. So the profit after tax taken from accounting record is arrived after charging your interest. So here you should be adding back net interest net of taxes to get your net cash flow after tax. So guys, let us see. So interest net of taxes to be added back. Don't worry, I will be discussing this interest net of taxes concept separately in another video. I will provide you with the link in this, attach the link with this video. Kindly click on it and visit there to have more idea about that. Okay, so guys, interest net of taxes to be added back, and only just keep it in mind, only if this PAT arrived after charging the interest. Okay, so PAT, so how you will be arriving, the steps is nothing but PAT after charging interest. So you will be adding back the depreciation and you will be adding back the interest net of taxes. So what you will be getting, you will be getting your net cash flow after tax. So guys, this interest net of taxes is nothing but your total interest minus taxes on your interest is said to be interest net of taxes. Okay, so click on the link to find more about interest net of taxes. Why excluding interest does not have any impact on the answer is discussed there. Okay, so terminal cash flow. So the last part is about computation of terminal cash flow. Here again we are just going to consider three parts. One is salvage value, another one is tax savings, and the working capital. So again, salvage value is a kind of tax inflow to me, so tax adjustments to be made. So since salvage or scrap value is an inflow which is a benefit to be, tax savings is a benefit, so I must be adding back that. So tax payment which is a cost to me, so I must be reducing that. So finally any working capital is released because of the end of the project, any working capital is released, again it is a benefit to me, so I should add back the same. So finally what happens here is, guys, I will be getting my terminal cash flow. After doing all these things, after combining everything, you will be getting the final result of the cash flows that attributes to a certain project. So this is the first concept. Okay, you may have certain confusions regarding the block of asset, the tax savings part or a tax payment part on the block of asset, and the second one is about the adjustments made to the interest. Either you can consider the financial charges, in that case you must add back the interest net of taxes to your profit after tax, or you can exclude this financial charges completely. Both will lead to the same answer. So to know that concepts better, I have just, due to time constraint, I have just added a separate video for that. Kindly visit and have a look on it, guys. So the next one is the second concept in our first lesson is nothing but the relevant cost analysis. So relevant cost analysis is very important before taking any decisions in an investment. So you first of all you should consider only the relevant cost before taking any decision regarding your investment, and you should exclude any irrelevant cost. First of all, going into the concept, I am just going to divide it into two. One is what are those costs considered to be relevant, what are those costs considered to be irrelevant. So the cost considered to be relevant are, guys, opportunity cost, very familiar cost, yes. Second one is imputed cost, then it is an out of pocket cost, then it is an avoidable cost. Fifth one is about differential cost. So under irrelevant cost, there are only two costs, guys. One is sunk cost. Sunk cost is nothing but it is the cost that an entity has incurred and it cannot no longer recovered by any means. Okay, the entity cannot recover this cost by any means is considered to be sunk cost, guys. Okay, So this cost is nothing but you are already incurred in the past, and by any means you cannot recover this cost. So it is considered to be sunk cost. So the second type is a committed cost. Committed cost is nothing but the action, the obligation will be take place in the future. Okay, in the future, but you cannot come out of that obligation. It is considered to be a committed cost. So committed cost is an investment that a business has already made and cannot recover by any means, as well as it can be an obligation already made that the business cannot get out of it. Okay, so example is like the long term legal agreements associated with the committed cost. Okay, so that is sunk cost. What is there is a bit, only a slight bit of difference between these two costs. One is sunk cost is nothing but it is already been incurred. Committed cost is nothing but you will incur that cost in the future, but you already give your words that I will be taking this. The obligation is already on your shoulders. Okay, another side, let us discuss about the various cost. So this relevant cost. So guys, opportunity cost, we already know opportunity cost is nothing but the benefit missed by choosing the alternative over the other. Yes, that cost to be considered while making your decisions. Second one is imputed cost, and imputed cost is nothing but the cost that incurred by virtue of using an asset instead of investing it or undertaking an alternative course of action. So in simple terms, imputed cost is nothing but an hidden cost, guys. Like physically you are not going to record it in your accounts. That means imputed cost is nothing but I'm just using my own asset for the business. So so there will be a cost for that asset, but that is not going to be recorded anywhere in my accounts. Okay, so it is an hidden cost. Okay, out of pocket cost. Out of pocket cost are those costs or expenses that require a cash payment in the current period or during a project. Okay, like you are paying wages to the person before the setting up of the machine. The machine has been come to the place, to the location. I just want to set up that machine or install that machine in the location. So that kind of cost is made from my pocket. So it is considered to be out of pocket cost. So the fourth one is avoidable cost. Avoidable cost is nothing but you can be avoided by not engaging in certain activities. Like for an example, I choose to close a production line. So then the cost of the building in which it is housed is now an avoidable cost, right? I no longer require to pay the rent for that building. So that kind of, so still I am just paying the rent for that building. So then it is an avoidable. Why I am paying for that? So it is kind of an avoidable cost. You can avoid that cost, right? Yeah. So then differential cost. Differential cost is nothing but the difference between the two alternative decisions, or sometimes change of output levels is considered to be differential cost. So overall, relevant cost is nothing but relevant cost or revenue or those expected future cost or revenues that differ among alternative course of actions which is relevant for taking the decisions. So that's why we must be considering all these costs while making our investment decisions, and we are omitting these costs, the irrelevant cost, while taking our investment decisions. Okay, thank you for today, guys. In next session we will be discussing a very important concept. It is nothing but capital investment decision, that is capital budgeting techniques. Okay, let me see you in the next class. Thank you.